Okay, we are live and 7:29 p.m. here at EST time zone. I think in India it's almost 6 o'clock in the morning. Yes, there you go.
It is
Right
now
on the.
6 o'clock as we speak. So,
Yep. Let's
yeah,
get
all
started.
right. Okay, cool. Let's kick it off then.
Yep.
All right. Okay, cool. So, again, good morning to all the folks who have joined us early, bright early Monday morning in India or in this part of the world, and good evening to everyone joining from the US. Um, Again, very glad to be here in number 19 of our podcast series. Again, today is going to be quite interesting, quite invigorating a discussion for both of us. Let me just start off by introducing myself. My name is Shantanu Kelkar, and I'm a founder and principal consultant at 1.618 Business Consulting. I have about 20 plus years of experience working with multinational companies in the automation space mainly. But then a lot of years have been spent on corporate strategy side, helping companies to grow their business and deploy the plan and execute the plan and help grow the business in various industries. My current focus is on small and medium businesses, and I work with them. I help them really design the growth path, and then be with them throughout the execution journey as well, helping them achieve the kind of balanced growth that they are aiming for, that they aspire for. So as part of this series, particularly where we are focusing on some very important aspects for small and medium businesses, I think today's topic is very pertinent. We are going to a boom sector, a sector which is expected to take off from where we are today to some dizzying heights in the future. And I'm very excited again to join Aniket on this for today's podcast to talk about that topic. So, Aniket, over to you, and then we can get started.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shantanu. Welcome everyone to this 19th episode of Strategy, where strategy meets execution, the podcast series that we have started last year. Really excited to be here. Yes, I agree with Shantanu. Today's topic is very pertinent given the most of you have seen the India's budget in February. A lot of discussion about data center growth, like and lot of budget has been allocated for that. So this is very pertinent. What is SMB's opportunity in this space and what they can do and what they, we have, as usual, very detailed presentations that we're going to walk through that will help you decide what are the opportunities there and what you need to do in step-by-step manner. By the way, I'm Aniket Vaktare. I have around 15 plus years of experience in managing complex projects, delivering cost savings that impacts companies' bottom line. I worked in Fortune 500 companies ranging from Cummins, Amazon, and I'm currently working for Eli Lilly, but as like a consultant from different company, pharmaceutical manufacturing, leading a automation project there. What I do is basically develop, give value in terms of cost savings as well as process improvements, process efficiencies to the company's bottom line. I do have a PMP I got recently acquired, but with me I have 15 plus years of experience with MBA in supply chain and as well as in masters in mechanical. But more importantly, I enjoy delivering values to company for solving complex execution related problems, which helps them speed up their efficiencies as well as bring out cost savings to their bottom line. With that, without taking too much time in the introduction, let's dive into the first slide about what are we going to talk about. Shantanu, let's dive in
Yeah,
into the summary.
yeah, and as we said, this topic has been of genuine interest for us, as someone who wants to explore uh, all aspects related to growth economies and growth aspiring SMBs. It's been on our minds for a few weeks now, and especially, given the kind of attention that the AI summit got, that happened in India, and the kind of attention and coverage that it got, the importance that it carried with it, I think this became more relevant. This topic is sort of peeking under the hood of the sleek car that AI has been. In It talks about India's data center boom. Now everyone talks about AI, the uses of AI coding, development, LLMs and all of that. But then what is it that is going to drive all of that? What physically is the infrastructure that is going to drive all of this is really what today's topic is. So the data center boom, which is arguably the single biggest commercial opportunity for small and medium businesses that's going to come up in the future, in the next coming decade. That's what we are going to talk about, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's a like India's data center sector is entering into what we call as a mega cycle, as you said, right? Booming cycle, $50 billion market opportunity. That is what going to play out every like over the next 5 to 7 years. So what we call as an hidden economy inside every data center project. Think about it, like if you're SMB, for every 100 megawatt facility that gets commissioned, there are around hundreds of subcontractors involved, power systems, UPS vendors, cooling contractors, civil and structural teams, cable management specialists, and whatnot, like commission engineer. So that's the opportunity we are talking about, right? What do you think, Shadul?
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about such upcoming hype cycles, we tend to talk about the big guys. In this case, it be AWS, Amazon, Google, the Microsofts, and the Reliances of the world. Now they are going to grab all the headlines when they invest the billions into such opportunities. They are announcing multi-billion-dollar campuses, their infrastructure, all of that stuff. But they are one thing to remember is that they are not going to build these things on their own. It's not that it's only Reliance who's going to, or it's only Microsoft or Google who is going to invest or have only their people, only their money involved in this. So that's where, that's the point that most people usually miss, and that's where today's opportunity, the topic lies.
Yep. Yeah, you said it right. And that's why the window is now 2025 to 2030. India is going from about 1.3 gigawatts of data center capacity today to over 8 gigawatts. So 1.3 to 8, it's a big journey, big goals. The firms that establish relationships, certification, and track records in next 90 days, I think, will capture that disproportionate value as this accelerate. So
Yeah.
let's dive into
And
the
it's
yeah,
interesting you mentioned that it's not weeks, months, years, it's days. In
it
the next
is.
90 days, uh, people need to go from just being a spectator to a player. So
Hmm.
that is going to be the framework of today's conversation.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's go to the second
Okay, so
slide. So,
this, right. So let's talk about why this is happening right now, because I'm sure it just didn't appear out of nowhere. It's been building up to this point today. So let's talk about what has been the context to this.
absolutely. Great point. There are three structural forces, as you see, like three massive tailwinds, all hitting at the same time. And when you
Mm.
get three tailwinds converging, you don't get a wave, you get a tsunami, right? So
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
discuss those
All
forces.
right. So force number one here is the mandatory data localization part. Now, the Indian government has made it very clear that data about Indian citizens must stay within Indian borders. That's
Hmm.
that's not negotiable. It's a non-negotiable thing. Every global company operating in India, every bank or e-commerce website platform, every SaaS, software as a service product, they have to build or lease infrastructure here. There are no two ways about that, and they cannot route that data to Singapore or the US anymore, right? So that's what is going to be a big driver for the data center boom.
Yeah, very good. And that's the policy tailwind that is not going away. So it's only going to get stronger. So
Mm.
we got on this mandatory demand floor that's being set by regulations. So
Yeah,
just keep that
right.
in mind.
Yeah, and the second one here is the 5G rollout. Again, 5G was always supposed to reduce latency, data latency.
Correct.
But here's what people underestimate is 5G in tier 2 or tier 3 cities is creating demand for edge technology now, right? Edge
Mm-hmm.
computing. And because the moment you have 5G everywhere, users in tier 2, tier 3 cities across the nooks and crannies of India, they are going to expect the same kind of app response time as someone in a metro city, as someone in Mumbai or Delhi or
Mm-hmm.
Chennai, right? So that requires local data processing, which requires local data infrastructure. So the more we get into the higher bandwidth, faster bandwidth data ecosystems, that is going to be again another big driver for the data center boom.
Absolutely. Yeah, and rightly you mentioned, like which means data center do not have to be in Navi Mumbai or Bengaluru or any metro cities. They can be in Hyderabad, Pune, Chennai, and increasingly into smaller cities. So that's a massive geographical expansion of the opportunity.
That's it.
Substantial, yeah.
Yeah. And the third one here that we have mentioned is again, this is what everyone's talking about right now is the AI workload expansion. Now, as I said, um, AI is in India is only going to accelerate. The adoption is only going to accelerate. Um, the it's going to grow at a pace which nobody predicted even 1.5 years back, even 18 months back. Every company wants to build AI products, run large language models, LLMs, as they call it, and train on their own proprietary data to
Hmm.
customize those AI engines for their to work for their outcomes. So that's the third driver that we see that's going to create this boom.
Correct. And then AI is hungry. These workloads require specialized high density compute. So
Mm.
we are taking like rack power densities jumping from 5 to 10 kilowatt per rack, which is a traditional data center design, about to a 50 plus kilowatts of power per rack for AI clusters. Think about that. That's a 10x increase in power density. So
Absolutely.
5 to
All
10 to
this.
50 plus kilowatts, it's a massive jump.
Yeah. And then again, what lies under the hood is the kind of cooling power or the
Yeah.
cooling mechanism that each of these infrastructure or the facilities is going to need. Now, these are overworked, sort of overheated, chips that will need to be cooled down all the while, and we'll get to that in a bit. But that's a massive opportunity for specialized vendors.
Yeah, and that's where this slide provides some key contrast, and I love this. If you look at it in a bigger picture, headline versus SMB reality, right? The headline says Reliance is spending $30 billion building 3 gigawatts of capacity. AWS, Microsoft, Google making multi-dollar commitments, and they're building like 100 plus megawatt campuses.
Yeah. And the reality for the SMBs in that case is they need to think who is building those things, who
Hmm.
installs the transformers, who does the cable trays, who manages the UPS commissioning, the grounding systems, earthing systems, all of these things, the secondary processes, tertiary processes, all of these things are going to be done by SMBs. So while
Correct.
the big companies are grabbing the headlines, the real work, or I wouldn't say real work, the related work is being done by SMBs, they who are specialized, regional, and more agile. That's what one wants to be, if one has to
100%.
explain this.
That's why the name of this podcast, ripple effect, right? Big wave at the top creates 1,000 ripples. So, and each ripple is a big business opportunity. So let's move on to the next slide. Why SMBs think they are too small to build. We got to be honest here. There are real barriers. We are not here to do toxic positivity. There are four brutal barriers that kill SMBs, data center ambitions, and we are going to name them clearly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's call a spade a spade. So here, if we see barrier one, uh, capital and regulatory intensity. Now, building or even subcontracting in a data center project requires you to navigate a long list of permits, from central government, state government, the local governments. There is no single window clearance system for data centers. The load bearing requirements, for example, are intense, 1,500 plus kilograms per square meter. So, to build that kind of an infrastructure, you need to go through a host of permits from these various agencies, and the project timelines are, uh, you just take 5 months to get to the minimum level of approvals in some cases. So it's long, and it is also unpredictable.
Correct. And it's a labyrinth. I mean, for a small business owner who's used to taking a project, executing it, and billing it, suddenly you're dealing with statutory inspections, safety certifications, environmental clearances, and whatnot. So it's a big task.
Right. Yeah. But then again, what can you do about it as an SMB? The solution is quite elegant. So don't be a prime contractor in that case. Be a specialized subcontractor, at least to begin with. So you're not having to deal with 50 permits. And again, the nature, the company and any SMB develops its nature in some ways. Now, some SMBs, some companies, even some owners, if we talk about individuals, have a knack of dealing with these kind of government agencies, and they are known to be liaising with these agencies more frequently, and
Correct.
and they are happy in dealing with these various government interfaces. But then not all of them are able to do that. So choose your battles, pick your battles. The You don't have to deal with all the agencies is one go. The prime contractor deals with those, and then you deal with your scope, your lane, and stay in your lane. Be Play on your expertise. That's the solution for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's look at the barrier two. There's a talent shortage. This is real and it's severe. We did discuss this barrier in our some last podcast. So, standard electricians cannot work on mission critical systems without specific training. So there is a huge gap in DC certified engineers in India right now. As we
Mm.
did research on this topic a little bit, companies are literally flying technicians from, say, suppose Hyderabad to a site in Patna or maybe in Mumbai or whatnot, because there is no one locally qualified. So
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
challenge we are dealing with.
Yeah, yeah. And that's actually the opportunity for tier two cities,
Hmm.
SMBs located operating out of tier two cities. If you invest in getting your team certified, it could be something like CDCP certification from the Uptime Institute. You build a local sort of competitive mode. Nobody wants to pay for flying an expert or a technician from far-flung places if there is a reliable local vendor, right? So if you
Absolutely.
become that part of that solution, uh, which reduces the lead time for the customer, then you'll be in big demand.
100%. Yeah, the barrier three is working capital cycles. So data center projects that have brutal payment terms. So pay when paid clauses, 90 to 120-day receivables. Then there is high retention amounts. So the small firm can win this contract and run out of the cash executing it. So that's a
Yeah,
problem. Working
and
capital cycle is a big problem that
it's a big
SMB.
problem. I can vouch for that with every project that I have dealt with. This sort of boils up to become the number one problem
Oh,
operationally when companies execute. So, and we'll get to the solution
yep,
in more detail in a while. But it involves TREDS, TREDS, and MSME protections. But that it is a real barrier. We can't run
absolutely. It
away
is a
from that.
barrier. And talk about the barrier number four, the perception problem, right? Large EPC companies like L&T, Tata Projects, AEC, they have procurement teams that have a pre-qualified vendor list. So if you're not on that list, you don't get invited to bid. So the solution there is a systematic vendor portals registration, which we are also get into that in action plan.
Yeah, very important.
All right,
All
great.
right, maybe we can move to the next one.
Yep.
And I think that's where the result framework, that's where the heart of the presentation lies. Six pillars that form a complete SMB data center strategy. You can't get more specific and more cohesive than this. Why don't we run through this one by one and then.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love this strategy. So let's spell out each pillar as it is, and then we can go deeper on each one through the rest of the episode. So the first one, R, is repeatable packages. That is the core philosophy. Don't bid the projects, bid units of repeatable risk removal. So instead of saying like we do electrical work, you say we deliver a commissioning ready earthing plus cable tray plus labeling packages for a tier 3 facilities. That's a
Hmm.
product, right? You can price it, scope it, deliver it, and do it again. So the R stands for repeatable packages. Okay.
Yeah, and this matters a lot because buyers, the procurement managers at large EPCs who are going to execute these projects, they don't want the risk management part in their code. They want to transfer risk to a vendor who has done
Hmm.
this before, or who is an expert in the field. Now, if you can say that we have done this exact scope 12 times, you become incredibly attractive to them. I think they are looking for that kind of specialization rather than a more generalist approach.
100%. The E stands for age first. Target tier 3 cities like Patna, Bhopal, Bhubaneswar, Jaipur, Vizag, Lucknow. These are the cities that are seeing like 70% CAGR in data centers demand. And the thing is, hyperscalers and large EPCs are still metro focus. So that there is a massive, massive gap in the local qualified on-call service in these markets.
Yeah. And when I first read this, I thought that maybe a typo. It could be 7% and not 70%. But the reality is, it is 70%. It is massive because 5G is landing there.
Hmm.
Data localization is going to be important in that case. And uh, because the land in these bigger metro cities is massively costly,
Absolutely.
um, making data centers in these tier 2 tier 3 cities is going to make more economical sense even for the big players. So it's
Absolutely.
more viable that these facilities come in tier 2 cities now going forward.
Yeah. And the second one is S stands for specialized deeply. So pick one layer in the layer four layer infrastructure stack and we'll break down that stack on slide 5. Uh,
Mm.
so, the idea is becoming the premium regional expert in your micro niche. So, let's say example liquid
Mm.
cooling system, hot cold aisle containment, or precision earthing. Pick one. Any
Mm.
of these we can go deep into that.
And go deep into that. Absolutely, that's going to be important. The next one, O, that's for optimize cash. We spoke about TREDS. Again, we'll come to the details of that in one of the slides. But that's the trade receivables discounting system that the government has. Uh, Essentially, it's a government-backed platform that lets you sell your invoices to banks and get paid within 24 to 48 hours. So that's the kind of fast response that you can get through that platform, and you then don't need to wait for 90 days or 45 days or 120 days to get your payments done.
That's really good. Yeah, that will help solve them that
Working
working
capital.
capital issue. Yeah. Now talking about the L, leverage certification. So MSME Udyam registration. I think we did discuss that in one of the podcast. There is a Uptime Institute training, OEM partnerships. These are the
Hmm.
key that unlock doors. So with Udyam registration, you get EMD exemptions on government tenders, which massively reduces the capital you need to bid.
Right, right. And then we have V, which is your vendor network. Now, Aniket, you did mention about the importance of getting listed on those approved vendor lists with these large players. So as an SMB, it's important that you register on an L&T's vendor portal or a Tata Projects vendor portal. You have the Adanis of the world. Now, they have systems in place already
Yep.
to test, to review, to shortlist their vendors and create a approved vendor list, as they call it. And that's where the actual subcontracting opportunities are
Mhm.
going to come to. Nobody knows you exist unless you are on the
On
list.
that list.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. The E stands for execute flawlessly. So track record is everything in this industry, right? One bad commissioning failure or one power outage to your cable work that follows you. So conversely, one flawlessly executed project at a top tier facility opens 10 more doors. So your first project is going to be very, very important how you execute it, because that is going to open up a lot of doors of opportunity for you.
Right.
All right, let's go into the next slide, the four layer infrastructure.
Okay. So yes, this gets a bit technical, but I think it's important that we talk about this as well. And this is going to be, we'll make it as accessible to the larger audience as possible. But the understanding this stack is the key to finding your entry point in this whole big world of data center infrastructure. So why don't we talk about that as an
Absolutely.
tech expert, techie? Why don't you take it off?
Yeah. So every data center from a small 2 megawatt edge facility to around a 200 megawatt hyperscale campus, they are built in four layers of infrastructure, and then every layer is a potential SMB play. So,
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about the first one here, power and electrical. Now, this is again a mission critical chain. We are
mhm.
talking about substations, transformers. You have the switch gears, UPS systems, busway systems, and the whole works behind that, right? Now, this is typically where the most capex heavy, capital intensive work is going on. But it's also the place where most of recurring maintenance revenue is going to get generated. So that's not just the upfront large capex, but also the long tail of opex or maintenance budget spends that's going to come from the power and electrical systems layer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for SMBs, the entry point here is the high transmission, low transmission cabling, HTLT, basically earthing systems and grounding grids, lightning system, metering panels, sensor wiring, all that. So you don't have to do the main substation to play in this layer.
Right. 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 Layer two is cooling and EPC. So again, traditionally this meant the air conditioning units or the raised floors, the fabrication that goes behind that. But with AI workloads, that is going to push these rack densities to 50 plus kilowatts, the
Yep.
entire cooling paradigm, the entire template for how to cool these chips is going to shift to liquid cooling. It's
Yeah.
not air cooling anymore or just air cooling anymore. It's going to shift to liquid cooling. That's
Yeah,
it.
they will not have any option because yeah, air cooling will not be efficient as liquid cooling. And this is where the trend one from our market intelligence side comes in,
Mm.
which we will see in a second. But the liquid cooling market in India was around $166 million in 2024. Now it's projected to hit nearly $960 million by 2032. So think about that, 166 to 960, that's around 24.6% CAGR. So if you
Mhm.
can do a CDU installation or liquid loop commissioning or even a maintenance of immersion cooling systems, you are sitting on a gold mine, I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a big one there. Okay, the fourth one, the third one here is the EPC and civil foundations or raise flows. As I said, that go into the other two layers that are required for the other two layers. You have structural steel frameworks, cable ladders, fire suppression or systems, integration of those systems into the other civil and electrical work. Now, this is where the civil contractors are going to find their play.
Hmm.
Pre-functional checks, punch list closures, or commission readiness. These are high-value scopes, and again, absolutely critical, mission critical for the overall setup for the infrastructure. So, a good entry point for SMBs again.
100%. Yeah, and the last layer, fourth layer, is IT and network infrastructure, structured cabling, fiber optic runs, then patch management, then stack services. Right, this is the lower barrier to entry for electricals and networking SMBs.
Yeah. So I think the key insight is, as we said, try to pick your battles or try to decide which lane you want to stay in and go full throttle in that.
Mhm.
So just become undeniably good, absolutely good in what you specialize in. And you don't have to do everything at once. You don't
Mhm.
have to take on all four layers or do every related task in this case. There are the biggies are going to do that anyway, right? The
Correct.
LNTs of the world can do all four, but again, they cannot do it on their own, and that's
Mhm.
when they are going to fall back on the SMBs to do specific tasks out of these. So just pick your niche area, at least as an entry point. Understand what scope and what volume you are in today. Pick your battles accordingly, and then start with that.
Correct. And that's where the SMB actually win, right? This is slide's tagline, I would say, is don't just bid on projects, sell units of repeatable risk removal. So that's a mind shift. Definitely, yeah. So
Right.
let's go on to the next slide. Here is the market intelligence, right? Three mega trends creating SMB wages. So we're
Mm.
gonna talk about these mic- macro shifts that are specifically creating openings for agile, specialized SMBs over slower legacy integrators.
Yeah, I think an important aspect here, and we want to be clear that we are not just talking about general trends in this case. These are what we call wedges, specific spots where the market is moving much faster than the the large players can adapt. That to exploit or really to leverage these kind of growth areas, growth niches, you have to be as agile as an SME is.
Mm-hmm.
Some of At times some of these large players are unable to move that fast because of the large corporate inertia, but SMBs can fill in that gap. A nimble, agile SMB can really step in and can leverage these niche growth areas.
Correct. All right, let's look at the mega trend one, the liquid cooling resolution. We touch on this before, but just in general, AI workloads are pushing rack power densities from 5 to 10 kilowatts to 50 plus kilowatts. That what we mentioned before. So traditional air cooling is becoming obsolete for these applications because the air cooling cannot handle 50 plus kilowatt. When you are increasing the capacity from 10x size, you need a better cooling system. So liquid cooling, that's the rear door heat exchangers, right? Direct to chip cooling or a full immersion cooling is not optional for AI clusters anymore. They are the like on the in the uh, main considering options on the table.
Yeah, and it's a proven thing, right? Liquid cooling is 3,000 times more thermally more efficient than air cooling
100%.
per unit volume of the infrastructure of the chips. Right? So the liquid cooling market is expected to grow from 166 million in 2024 to almost a billion. I think somewhere in the range of 960 million by 2032. So that's almost a 25% CAGR in real time, right? So I think we have a few examples as well, like Yota's NM1 facility in Navi Mumbai has about 16,000 NVIDIA H100 and GH200 GPUs with liquid submersion cooling, and that kind of installation is it doesn't happen without specialized vendors, and that's really the kind of installation that is going to grow in all the places that we mentioned, the tier 2 tier 3 cities. You can take that as a unit example and see what has gone into that, and that's going to get replicated everywhere else. So
Correct.
it's a very
Yep.
important.
So as we discussed, SME opportunities in liquid cooling, like SDU installation, maintenance, commissioning, operating liquid loop systems, it's very huge. And there are some skills that most traditional MEP contractors don't have it. The first mover advantage in this field is it's enormous. So don't miss that.
Yeah, yeah, that's an important point. All right, the second trend here is using, we have mentioned that i- we haven't called it out as a trend here, but it's clearly the tier 2 city expansion. As I said, we mentioned 70% CAGR in secondary markets. The logistics and cost economics of flying experts and technicians from the metros from far-flung spaces is unsustainable. Right? So the local firms, with the right certifications and with the right expertise, talent, they become the only viable option for in these projects.
Yeah.
So,
So the third trend, mega trend, is the AI infrastructure build out timeline. So take an example of NVIDIA, Google, Microsoft, and then there are some Indian hyperscalers in that race too. They are all racing to build AI compute capacity.
hmm.
These timelines are very compressed. Procurement teams they want a pre-qualified, reliable subcontractors. They don't have to time to find a new vendors project by project. Once you are in a approved vendor ecosystem, work will follow you.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving to the next slide, the 3R pre-mortem framework. What we got
Yeah,
on this, Shantanu?
yeah. Again, the risk factors, the other side of the coin. Throughout our podcast series, we have always spoken about both sides of the game, both sides of the coin. And again, it becomes sort of underrated at times, but we tend to talk about a lot of the opportunities. But as we have made it a point, we also cover things like, what risks does it carry. And some of these risks, they might seem small, but they can kill small firms in such mega cycles. So
Mm-hmm.
it's important to talk about the risks as well in this case.
Absolutely. And that's why we called it as a 3R pre-mortem. The idea is very simple. Before you start a project, you do a pre-mortem analysis, right? You imagine the project has failed in other way of the, like, we call it as an FMEA, failure mode effect analysis. You can call it as a pre-mortem analysis. What killed it? Most small firms fail on data center projects for three common reasons, and we'll go through that one by one.
I've heard the US Army Marine Corps do the same. They will talk about, why will a project fail, why will a assault fail, and then work to mitigate those risks. So it's a great
Mhm.
approach. So let's talk about the first one, ring fence here. Again, contract and cash controls. The objective is to prevent one contract from consuming the entire company.
Mhm.
Sort of all eggs in one basket kind of a situation. The tactics is to avoid the pay when paid clauses wherever possible. Now, if you get into those kind of arrangements, that's an absolute cash killer. Uh,
Absolutely.
you need to structure your milestones to match your cost curve. And essentially, again, it boils down to the working capital. You're not financing the client's project, you're not using your own money. So cap your retention exposures by negotiating things like bank guarantees instead of cash retentions. And we mentioned the Threads platform, so you can use Threads to get paid faster than the usual lead times that the industry has.
Correct. So key success metric here, track your DSO, which is
Mm.
day sales outstanding by client. So know your cash break point in weeks. So if a project runs 12 weeks without a payment, will you survive? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Know that number before you sign it.
Absolutely. The second R is reduce. In this case, engineering and procurement resilience, if you can call that. Now, mega projects, they face long lead times on, especially on critical equipment like the large transformers, the UPS systems, cooling units, etc. So if your project timeline depends on a piece of equipment arriving from, let's say, Germany in 8 weeks, and instead of eight, it arrives in 14 weeks, then you are liable for the delays that are not that are not of your causing. So you didn't cause them, but then you're still liable for them. So uh,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing you need to watch out for.
And tactics here is designed for procurement discipline. So look specific equipment early before you even win sometimes. So basically modularize your scope so you can use prefabricated skids wherever possible. And then build commissioning ready QA processes, quality assurance processes, so you are not the bottleneck at the end, right? There are some tips that's where most people, like most firms win, is how you can actually
Mm.
efficiently design your procurement system. uh, Not every time you need to outsource. There are certain, like, you can modularize your scope, as I said. You can build commissioning ready QA processes within yourself so that you can avoid those major risks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the third one here is respond. Again, you need to be ready with your compliances, avoid last minute compliance scrambles. Um, The success metric here is you need to have your checklists ready, your
Mm-hmm.
compliance checklist completion. That data needs to be at your fingertips. So uh, you should take less than 24 hours to respond to these compliances. Again, that makes sure that your end of the bargain in terms of the lead time here gets reduced to a minimum. So preempt all the compliance documentation and requirements, and just be ready to respond to those requirements in the project timelines and the milestones as and when they
Mm-hmm.
arrive.
And I also add that in the data center industry, reliability is the product. So the client is paying for 99.99% uptime, but any failure that traces back, if your cable work causes a fault, everyone knows. So better, your commissioning catches a fault before you go live. Everyone knows that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are
All right.
many more R's to this, but the three most important are the ones that we saw here. All right. Yeah, let's
Let's
go
look
ahead.
into the finance strategy. Yeah, trade and MSME protection. So this is
Mm.
the one I want every SMB's owner listening to the screenshot and revisit it after this episode. We will be sharing this material as well. But it's very financial strategy and the cash flow situation is very crucial.
Yeah, it is. And it was some sort of a, we don't always come across, or we don't always come to situations where we have to use this, but it's a very potent tool, very helpful policy that SMBs can adopt, or go back to.
Yeah.
So we spoke about TREDS, the trade receivables discounting system. Just to demystify this, TREDS is a government-backed digital platform. You have the main ones in that are things like RXIL, M1 Exchange, and InvoiceMart. But these platforms, they allow SMEs to uh, get their invoices financed by banks within 24 to 48 hours. So that's the kind of shorter lead time, payment lead time that they get. And it's a complex sort of financial setup on the back end of it. But for SMBs interfacing with the system, the good part is that we get paid within 2 days instead of 90 days.
That's very good. And here it how it works. You complete your scope of work. You raise an invoice to say LNT. LNT logs on to the trades platform and accept that obligation, essentially acknowledging yes, we owe this vendor this amount. The moment that happens, bank and NBFCs on the platform start bidding to finance that invoice, and you get paid within 24 to 48 hours at a discount rate of 11 to 15% annually.
Yeah, and that might sound a bit on the higher side on an annual basis, but if you compare that with the next best alternatives, or the alternatives available to this, either you wait for 90 days, which can extend to 120 days and whatnot, and potentially have a big impact on your cash flows and your working capital. Or the other alternative is you take a high interest NBFC, non-banking financial corporation loan at 2% per month, which translates to 20 to 24% annually. So if you compare with these alternatives, then Treds becomes your sort of the cheapest working capital option that you have by far.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. A very good system, and I think the scale of this platform is remarkable. I think when I was reading the statistics in financial year 2025, trades process around 2.33 lakh crore of rupees. That's almost
Mm.
over. If you convert it into dollars, it's 27 billion dollar in transactions. Can you believe it? It's
Mm.
fascinating. And in 88 lakh invoices were processed. So this is not a pilot program by any means. This is a
Yeah,
functioning scaled financial infrastructure built specifically for businesses like yours.
SMBs. Yeah, exactly. And again, a lack of awareness probably, but a lot of SMBs probably don't know about this. The second one here alongside Threads is the Udyam certification, MSME Udyam certification. Now, this is your sort of the golden key. Uh, if you have that, the benefits that you get, they include things like EMD exemption on government tenders. You don't have to put up the earnest money deposit upfront, and that can run into lakhs of rupees for these sizes of the projects that we are talking about on large tenders. So you don't have to put up that money in the deposit upfront. You also get a 45-day payment protection under the MSME Development Act.
Oh,
Again,
that
something that most SMEs don't know, that they are supposed to get paid within 45 days by law, and they end up signing up contracts that are for 90 days, 120 days, and whatnot, only because they are small, only because they can't stand up to the big guys. But then they need to be aware that there are laws that are on their end or from on their side. They can utilize that. Of course, it's easier said than done, but at least be aware that the law is on your side. It talks about getting paid in 45 days, and you can stick to that and fight it out if it comes to that, and get paid within that time frame. You also get priority sector lending from banks at lower interest rates if you have that Udyam certificate.
that's massive. Yeah. So if you're not registered as on Udyam, and you are an SMB in this space, that's your homework for today. Go get it. 30 minutes on the Udyam portal. It's free. It's online. It unlocks massive, massive financial benefits. Go get it if you don't have it already. All right.
Exactly.
Moving on to the next one. Action plan. This is a money slide.
The money slide, and this is where we go from strategy to tactics. As we have done in every episode so far, your 30, 60, 90-day program to convert you from a spectator to a player in this
Mhm.
space.
So let's get into the deep. So first 30 days, what you need to focus is on audit and alignment. So this is about getting your foundation right. Internal assessments map your firm's existing skills against this four-layer infrastructure stack, as we discussed. Where are you? Ask this question to yourself: where are you already strong? What's your micro niche? Be honest to yourself. Don't try to claim expertise you don't have. Don't do that.
Mm.
And then, because the industry will find out fast, and
Yeah,
then it's gonna be a damage, reputation damage, which you can't repair later.
right. Absolutely. Right, then you have your sort of the admin foundation. You get your MSME Udyam certificates registrations done if you haven't done it already. Register on the Threads platform, open an account with RXIL or M1 Exchange. Uh, you just have to do it. These are not optional anymore. These are some basic hygiene factors now, table stakes as they call it. Just go for that and get it done.
Yep. The next one is the vendor portal onboarding. That's to go to the L&T partner portal, Tata Projects procurement portal. There is Adani's vendor registration. Fill out their pre-qualification forms. Yes, it's a paperwork, I know, but it takes time. But it gets you on that list. And being on that list is everything.
Yeah. Right. And then once you are through with that period, the second month, 31 to 60 days, is capability building. You're investing in your product now. So identify one micro niche, as we have been saying. Choose your lane. It could be either the liquid cooling system installations, or earthing, electricals, cabling for high density racks. Just pick that and get certified in that space. Get the necessary certifications, compliances that build your credentials in that space. You can develop talent around that niche area. send 2 or 3 members of your team to get certified, uh, get the credentials behind them, so that the large EPCs find it easier to find you, and you become top of the mind recall for them when you have that kind of those kind of credentials.
Yep. So define your repeatable package. That is the work. Sit down and write out exactly what you deliver. What is the scope boundaries are, what quality standards you hold yourself to, what the price point looks like. All those questions are important, and then turn your service into a product that can be quoted and delivered repeatedly.
Yeah, right. And the next phase, the third month, is about execution and building your track record. Now, when you win your first, first project, it could be small, it could be a micro project, but even if it is that, just it could be just a commissioning scope on a 500 kilowatt edge facility in your city, whatever it is, whatever size, whatever structure, whatever form or shape it is, just do it flawlessly. You document every step in that. You can actually use uh, photographs to photograph your work. uh, just create records of every step and get feedback, get testimonials on your work, on your scope. How did you do that? If any feedback comes which points to a gap, go ahead and make sure that you are addressing that. Just make full effort to convert that project into a PTR document, a proven track record document. That's the proof point that you will be able to leverage in all your future projects. So whatever small project you do upfront, just make sure that you develop a good PTR out of that.
Yep. So the goal at 90 days, you have your Uddam registration, trades account, vendor portal registration on at least two major platforms, and then one defined repeatable package, and ideally one completed project. Even a pilot or a small scope, that's the foundation, right? That's the foundation we are talking about. That being said, let's move on to the 40-hour. Like, what are your immediate step, right? What are your
Yeah.
next 48 hours sprint?
Yeah, so we are not even talking 90 days here. We are talking 2 days from now, 48 hours from now. Right? What
Yeah,
what can you do in that time frame?
correct. So, and I love this slide because it forces accountability. So here are the four items. Number one is register on Udyam portal. It's Monday. When you say it, go get it done. It's not gonna be taking too much time. You already should be aware of some of these questions already. Uh, and if you are not already registered as an MSME, go to udyam.gov.in right now after this podcast. It takes only 30 minutes, as I said, completely free, and it's your golden key for EMD exemptions on government tenders, and then 45-day payment protection. That's a top priority, critical.
Critical priority, absolutely. Number two is open a Trades account. Go to the platforms that we mentioned, rxil.in or m1exchange.com, invoicesmart.in. Complete your KYC certification there. Uh, this becomes your cash flow lifeline. The
Hmm.
moment you win your first data center scope, this is what is going to help you maintain your cash flows and sort of safeguard your working capital there. And again, it doesn't take too much time. We estimate it could take just about an hour for you to get registered on the Trades account and get going from there.
100%. And number three is audit your current capabilities. Get a whiteboard, draw the four-layer stack, right? Power, mechanical, EPC, IT. Put sticky notes where your team has real demonstrable experience. Be honest to yourself. Then look at these gaps in these four sectors: power, mechanical, EPC, and IT. Then the gap analysis will tell you what's your certification priority should be.
Right. Now, while you do that, you can define your beachhead offer. That's the fourth one that we have on the list here. Beachhead is nothing but your first entry point. You can can define one repeatable package, as Aniket mentioned, with clear deliverables and clear scope boundaries. Uh, it could be, as it says here, it could be commissioning an electrical package for tier 3 edge facility, or it could be leak safe liquid cooling loop installation and commissioning systems. It could be even download and complete vendor registration forms from L&T's uh, partner today, right, the partner portal today. So it could be such small steps, but you need to prepare for when the first offer comes up. So that's what you can do as in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, yeah, and these are not complicated tasks, but they are require some doing. So that's the point. The gap between the successful SMBs and those that miss the wave will not be a intelligence or a capital. It will be an action. Just on it.
Yeah.
And if you need help, do contact any of us. Right, we have provided our details. We can guide your team on how to do those things. We can, help you out to be successful. All right, the last one, closing, where strategy meets execution. Let's close it out.
Now, I think you just mentioned that when you close the previous slide, it's time to act. The time to act is now. So there's no other way but to do stuff uh, going forward. Now, we I think we have spoken enough about the macro trends and the drivers, the tsunami of opportunity that's going to hit. But all of that will not matter if you are not acting on it. It requires doing, as you mentioned earlier. So
Yep.
that's what we leave you with. The time to act is now. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. And that's why, if you read the quote on this, hyperscalers, they buy watts, and there are 100 boring things that make each watt real. That's where the SME win. Think about that.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very well put framework, because nobody talks about, we spoke about all these things, the civil infrastructure, the electrical infrastructure. No one talks about that earthing contractor who makes sure that these large 50 megawatt facilities do not have a ground fault,
Correct.
do not have a missing cable, or nobody talks about the liquid cooling vendor who caught a CDU leak before 10,000 of those processing units, those chips, got fried. So they are not spoken about, but these people are essential. That work is essential, and they are very, very well compensated. I think the crux lies there, that it's they may not be spoken about, they may not be the face of the advertisement on the front page of a paper or on the website, but they are the ones who matter, and they get paid for that. They get paid well for that.
Correct. All right. With that being said, it's time. Hope you got some really value nuggets from this podcast. We'll be sharing these slides again on the LinkedIn. Do catch us on that. If you have any questions, specific questions about this podcast or any other, do let us know. We are eager to hear from you. And yes, we'll see you next week. Thank you. Thank you for attending
Yeah.
today's podcast.
See you soon. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.